Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Leaders of Today podcast. I am Jordan Reeves, and I am joined here by Gideon.
Hello, guys. I'm Gideon Adjei. I just graduated from college. Jordan and I are very good friends.
Yeah. I've known Gideon. How long have we known each other? Since 2018.
2018, that's when we did college. So that's how long it's been.
5 years?
Some
6 years?
6. I've been saying 5 years about everything. Somebody asked me when I got to America, I'm like 5 years, but I'm like, it's actually not 5. If I was saying 2016, it's just really the strange thing.
Not
doing.
5 years ago.
I keep saying 5 years to every question that I've been asked, like over the past few years. But then again, I gotta start like rethinking those things.
I know. It's like my parents. I used to know how old they were, and then they got older, and now I don't know how old they are anymore.
I just forget. Like, I literally have to actively put people's birthdays in my calendar.
I know, because I'll forget them. I forget them so much.
Like, every day. It's strange. Man.
Sorry, I interrupted your
Oh,
introduction.
no, you're good. I mean, that's really the bit about me. Just here with Jordan, I've been working with him for a bit now, and we've been floating ideas about starting new things. Working on Leaders of Today and other stuff like
other things too.
Yeah, so I'm just here to give my 2 cents
Mm-hmm.
and see how it goes from there. Yeah.
Put your mic closer to your face.
All right.
Yeah, there you go. Sounds so much better.
I was selling.
You're selling. All right. So the next part is just a story.
Okay.
So do you have like a story that it could be about anything.
Yeah.
Just tell us a story.
Okay. Well, I have a story of a group of people that met over one summer at a program for a week. And I guess, like, for me, the biggest thing about the story is the people that I met over there and, like, how that program transformed my life. So I didn't want to talk about cola, but since we both did it and we both know each other, it's gonna be the story I tell. But
Okay.
it's gonna be like a story about us more so than anything.
All right.
So I know, like, the first time I remember, like, this is Jordan, even though we're in the same cohort and stuff, was like, I remember the first day we were doing the what social media do you prefer and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh.
And every time they said a social media, you just went to the side and it was you and this other girl. I don't remember who it was.
I
But
think her
then
name was. I don't remember what her name was.
But you went to the side and, like, you had no social media at the time, right? And so, like, I think that because it was just 2 of you, I think that's the very, like, first time. That's, like, I think day 2 when we did that. Or I'm not sure what day it was, but I remember vividly. I was like, that's Jordan, right? And then you were my cohort. So I was like, oh, okay. Like, because I remember people by just, like, I either, like, give them a new name that registers in my brain or, like, something that I know about them.
Something to identify them by.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was just, okay, I know this guy. He doesn't have any social media, but he's very smart. So I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, everybody was smart at Cola, but, like, it was sometimes I was like, man, what am I even doing here?
Right.
For Cola.
Oh.
But it was after that day where, like, I started really, like, we started chatting when we figured out we both lived down the same street, basically. And then you were like, because I was waiting for my dad, like, after, like, the 3rd day we closed, I was waiting for my dad to pick me up. And then you were like, oh, where do you live? And I was like, I live on Devonshire. I mean, I was new here, so I couldn't really explain specifically where I live.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I live around that place. And then you mentioned, like, the middle school right here, the elementary school. And I was like, oh, yeah, I know that place, too. It's close to my house.
Yeah.
And so we drove down here, and you dropped me off for the first time. And I guess that's where the friendship started, was, just having someone just, ask you, especially at a program where it was 1 week, you're gone all day almost. And then at the end of the day, you have to, you're trying to go home, see your parents or do whatever, see your friends.
Because you're tired at the end of the day for Cola.
It's exactly.
It's a long day.
It's a long day, yeah. So it was, for me, it really meant a lot to me for, you to, like, stop before you got in your car and, like, oh, where do you live? Like, just to ask that. And then we figuring out that we live, like, 2 minutes away from each other.
I seriously think it's like 2 minutes.
Yes, it really is. It's like right here. And so it was really impactful to me. And so from then on, you started picking me up to go when we were leaving in the morning, and then we come back together and we'll chat about, like, a whole bunch of things. Like,
honestly, that was so much fun.
So much things in the car, like, going and coming back. And, like, we reminisced over the time, like, the things we did in Cola and, like, how we could do better. And so I guess, like, it made sense to me when you first told me you had started Leaders of Today. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, like from our conversations, the things we spoke about. Yeah, I knew something like this was gonna happen pretty soon. I just didn't know when, but I knew it was coming. I knew it was
One
coming.
day.
Yeah.
One day.
But it's just like, I think like this moment sitting here and even having this conversation on the podcast is a full circle moment for me, especially from, getting a ride back home to realizing we live 2 minutes away, realizing we also have some of the same ideas and we share, we share some of the same beliefs. It was really nice and important. Especially because you went to the sales and I went down here to Beechcroft. I was like, man, all these guys are impressive as hell. And I'm here from Beechcroft just sitting here. I'm like, what's going on? But then I realized that, it was just more to like, trying to be a leader than like what school you go to or where you come from. So I was really excited to have that friend who I knew like even after Cola, because the biggest thing about camps is that like when you're done, you really don't get to see the people anymore. So I was really excited about that. Yeah,
it is kind of crazy because I remember that activity because I remember it was me and one other girl, and actually kind of funny. We see each other on social media all the time now because now we both have it. We like it, probably both of us pop up all the time. I still can't think of her name now.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But yeah, we were like a group of people would go to one side of the room if they went to like, I don't know, Facebook or Instagram, and everyone go to Facebook side or Instagram side. And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So her and I just kind of stood in the middle.
Yeah.
It was like Twitter or I don't know.
Yeah, it was
something
Twitter
like that.
Or something, and then people would go to
LinkedIn.
Twitter and Instagram. It was just a funny moment. But I guess like that's when I realized, okay, I guess to be honest, I didn't know like there could be like there were people in America who didn't have social media at all. Like I didn't think that was possible because social media is really a big thing here. Not only was I impressed, because there's a lot of things you can do and time you have when you don't have social media. Like sometimes I sit down and I'm just scrolling for hours. I'm like, oh my goodness. And then I catch myself like, oh God, let me go read a book to compensate for that. But
like it's been 3 hours.
Yes, it's been 3 hours. Let me go read like 10 pages and match it up a little bit. But
that's so funny. Actually, so the story I'll tell, we'll just kind of like continue into that, is actually when I first got social media. And I remember I was 18, so it was the year after Cola. Well, I think I got Snapchat during Cola because to be in the group chat, I think I had to get it because everyone made the group chat, and so I had to do it.
That's the first.
So I guess I had Snapchat.
Yeah,
but
it wasn't really. It was just for talking.
Yeah, I didn't have. I literally had you guys, and that's all. But I remember it was like the next year, and I was taking my mom to a track clinic because they were both track coaches. So we were driving there, and I was like, Mom, I think I need to get social media. And I was 18 at this point.
Yeah.
Like my parents didn't care if I got social media. They were just like, she was being a sounding board. And I was like, I think that I need like to track my life in some form. Cause like to get a job, people look at your social media. And if you don't have one, that's not a good thing. Right. Yeah. And it was actually, so it was even more at the time I was going to run for office, and I still probably will at some point, but, I was like, people need to see what I do.
Exactly.
So that's the reason I actually got social media. I remember sitting down and talking to her, and she was like, I think it's a good idea. Yeah. She was like, I don't know why you're talking to me about this. And I was like, okay, what if can you proofread my post before I post them? And she was like, yeah, sure. Yeah. Actually, for years, between my mom and then Amber, who is one of our board members.
Oh, yeah.
Like one of the two of them would proofread all of my social media posts before I post them. Even now, sometimes I'll be like, Amber, look at this.
Okay. I mean, that's a good thing to do, so you don't post something weird and crazy. Because I guess sometimes you get a little absorbed in actually doing it, so you just forget you just go type something random. And that's the thing. I feel like sometimes people forget that people can actually see your social media. It's not just yours. So everybody gets to see that. So it's a good practice. Sometimes it takes me hours to post one thing.
Yeah.
I'll literally sit and the hardest part is typing out whatever caption it will be, whatever I'm trying to talk about, because I'm hey, I can't say nothing crazy. Right? It's just towing that fine line between if it's a post for maybe an accomplishment, oh, this is how I have to type it. Yeah. If it's a post oh, this is me and my friends, you also know how to type it. But you can't just type stuff. It's I guess it's a good practice. I usually ask my girlfriend sometimes hey, can you just look at this really quickly? She's like, why? You're old enough to be able to type.
You can do this by yourself.
You do your own papers in school. What do you mean? I'm like, Just look at it, please. Just look at it really quickly.
So tips from me and Gideon: make sure you have someone else proof your social media posts before you post.
Yes, it's a good idea.
No matter if it's your mom or a friend or your girlfriend.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so let's jump into the conversation.
Yes.
So I know we just talked about COLA. So we both went to COLA together in 2018, and I'm pretty sure most listeners know what COLA is by now.
Yeah.
But if you don't know, it's a 6-day intensive leadership conference. Yes. And I learned so much from it. And so I went to COLA. Gideon went to COLA. Madison, who is currently our board president, she also went to COLA. And then our year, Izzy, who's one of our board members, also went to COLA. But Gideon, Madison, and I were all in the same cohort. Yes. So dynamite. But tell me about your experience as a COLA participant, because you didn't go back. Well, I guess you haven't gone back as an intern yet.
Yeah, I'm going back this summer.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. But I think like I mentioned in the story, COLA was really important to me. I mean, because it gave me the opportunity to see like what leadership is in different ways, right? Because you had the 5 days where every single day was a different version of leadership, and like I guess like to me, we talk about this all the time. What stuck out to me was servant leadership, and like being able to serve as a leader. Because I mean, it was like growing up in Ghana and being here, it was just a matter of, if I'm the leader, I just have to like come up with these ideas and then tell everyone to do it, right? And it's like, oh yeah, I'm the leader, I'm the face of the thing, I don't need to do much. But I guess COLA really put it into perspective for me. Like, you can delegate stuff to people, but also like you have to lead by example. You have to be able to, because you being the leader means you're trying to serve other people as well. And like whatever organization you're a part of and that you're leading, the goal or the mission of the organization, if it's to impact other people, then you have to also have an impact on those people. It can't just be, oh, I'm the face of the program, everybody else go do that, you do that, you do that. And that's, I guess, like for so long growing up, I thought that was what it meant to lead.
No.
And so like, it was just a matter of, you can do this. I mean, the best thing was like, I knew like, okay, cool. I knew like you have to be a kind person even with doing this. So like even when I'll delegate stuff, I try to delegate it in a way where people will feel okay doing it. But then I realized like, okay, why not do some? Why not, you take the lead and then tell other people, oh, hey, I did this and that. Can you help me with this? And can you help me with that? But COLA really helped put that into perspective. And then second thing it did was allow me to see like how different people from different places can all be leaders, right? Yeah. And so like we had a very diverse group of people in COLA. And I remember this one guy, I forget his name, but Austin, and then there were these three guys, Rohan and Schroeder. They were like, Rohan and Schroeder went to school together, and then Austin went to Bexley. He was a chess like president.
Yeah.
And like
I remember Austin.
Yes, he used to tell me about it, and I'm like, I know he went to Bexley. Like I've heard of Bexley. They're a very impressive school. I was like, man, he's the president of a chess club. He has to be extremely good. And I was like, man, that's impressive. I'm standing there like, man, I don't got nothing to say, man. I'm just here, right? And then but like he took a shine to me. He'll talk to me all the time about like the things he does. But then like every time he's like, we're having fun, and it was like COLA brought the right blend between having fun, having friends, leading, like just doing all these things and understanding that you don't have to be one dimensional. I guess like that was the most important thing about COLA to me and my experience there. Yeah.
It's that leadership is a full.
Exactly. It's you have to make it a part of who you are as well. Yeah. You can't just be like, I'm the president of this organization. Once I'm done, I'm gone, right? It's like, when you're walking on the street, like at school, I was co-president for like the African Student Association. Yeah. Like, I don't, like, you're not like out here taking time off of that, right? Like if people in the organization see you on the road, they're trying to ask you a question. You can't be like, oh no, this is not
we're not in a
hours.
meeting.
We're not in the meeting. Exactly. No questions, right? So like you kind of have to embody that. I guess like COLA gave me that first taste and that first experience of doing that. And I guess like COLA also gave me friends too. Yeah. Like especially being in America for so little time.
So when did you actually move here from Ghana?
It was, I think, October of 2016. I remember it vividly because this was right after the Cavs won. Like it was that year when the Cavs won the title. That's really the only reason I remember. Because like when I first got here, like I was just watching a lot of sports because I hadn't got into a school yet. My parents wanted me to go to Horizon, which is a charter school, and they were taking too long to get back to us. So my parents were like, you know what? Instead of staying at home, just go. Just go to Beechcroft. It doesn't matter. It's the closest place to us. And like, if you just do well enough and, you know, like try to study seriously, it should work out eventually, right?
Didn't you end up taking college classes?
Yes, in my senior year. Yeah, I took full-time college class at Outerbound.
Oh yeah,
I did
remember that.
Sports. I had to come back like after school to Beechcroft to do sports. It was just weird thing. So like that's why I enjoyed Cola, because like I wasn't in school a lot for, you know, my junior year was really the only full year I had at Beechcroft. I came in like halfway through sophomore year, so I barely knew the people. Junior year, like I took all the AP classes Beechcroft had, and they had like only 4 of them. So it was like, well, yeah, they put me in all those classes. So it was barely, the only friends I had were my teammates. And so like the friends outside of there were like, you know, the dynamites that, you know, our little group chat. Because, you know, the group chat kept up for a while.
It really
People
did.
would occasionally text in the group chat. And then we had the alumni committee meetings that we used to go to as well. Yeah. And so like that connection lasted for a very long time. I mean, I guess
actually the alumni committee lasted all the way through COVID, pretty much, until the very end of COVID, and then we all kind of broke apart.
Exactly, and
which is kind of crazy.
It is, and so that I was really excited because it was a group of people that I knew who weren't like my school buddies or my you know, teammates. Yeah. And so they were just like people who are friends, who are leaders in their own right, and we can all sit down and have a conversation about, oh, we're leaders, you're a leader, you're this, you're that,
in whatever area.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Yeah. I honestly don't know if I knew that or not.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So when we're at Cola, we make impact statements. So like, what do you want to do after Cola?
Yes.
So what was your impact statement?
I think the part that I remember vividly was
no one actually remembers their impact statement. They're just kind of like
I remember like bits and pieces of it because I think like I remember when we were writing it, like because it was like after the first person spoke, so we had to take inspiration from a lot of places. But I know like it was the point of my impact statement was, instead of inspiring hope to other people, it was like to actually be the hope. And like it was very like, I remember that was the last part of what I had said, because you know the impact statement had to be a little longer.
Yeah, it was
couldn't be one sentence. So I remember
we had to present in front of like all the parents and everybody. Oh,
so I remember having to like figure out, man, what sounds, you know, great and catchy. Like I was at that point in life where I'm like, you know, I just have to say something grand. You know, it has to be amazing, right? So I was like, I wrote a whole bunch, and then at the end I was like, what's a good catchphrase? And I was like, you know what? You know, instead of inspiring, instead of just being an inspirer of hope, be the hope that people are looking for, right? And so that was really the most important part, and it's something I've taken with me. And even if it's not just hope, like instead of trying to like inspire, like, you know, things in other people, try to be that thing, like try to embody it in some way at least. You know, you can't be everything, but at least trying to like have some of these values that you're talking about, like that I'm saying, hey, you know, it's nice to be this or to be that. Me, if I show like attributes of that, it really helps more, because the people who are looking at you and who are trying to take something away from you, now they see, oh, you're not just saying it, but you're actually practicing it. So I guess that was the part of my impact statement that I remember, but I have to go look at that book again.
But honestly, I like honestly still think that you live that out today. Yes, like you walk into places and the room lights up, like for real. Like even when you come to our meetings, everyone's so excited.
I really do enjoy those meetings. It's so funny because sometimes I'm just sitting there like I have no idea what this inside joke is, but it's funny enough for me to laugh about it, and I'm just sitting back like, okay, that's fun. But it's
now, Josh and Faith, you guys might know who they are. They're on this thing where they talk about girl power all the time, and it's so funny. They like fight about girl power. I don't even know what's going on sometimes.
Josh will engage with anything. That's the funny part. Josh has time for anything at all. So you start whatever, he's gonna continue.
Yeah, for real.
It's funny. It's really funny.
I don't know. I don't remember what you're saying. Sorry.
No, you didn't cut me off. I was just done. We were just talking about like you guys like being in the meetings and sometimes the inside jokes that I don't get, and you're just telling me about like Josh and Faith's girl power. arguments and back and forth. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Josh will always go there. Like if you take him there, I remember he was giving me a ride one time, and
you give him an inch, he'll take a mile.
He will. We were watching like a Dave Chappelle like skit, and oh man, I didn't know he like watched a lot of Dave Chappelle skits. He was cracking up.
Really?
I was like, it's like some of the old ones. Like it was some of the old ones, like pre like saying wild stuff online. Like, Dave Chappelle has always said wild stuff, but like that was like before he started like going manic. Like I feel like he says really, really some of the wildest stuff nowadays.
Yeah.
But like he was listening to like one of his old specials that was really impressive. But I was like, I didn't know you listen to Dave Chappelle. I wouldn't think you'd listen to Dave Chappelle at all.
Interesting.
But, yeah, he's like, man, I just like this one special, and I keep listening to it over and over again. I'm like, okay, I guess that is. It's like how I listen to music. I get new music, but I'm always listening to the same 5 songs every day.
Yes, seriously, me too. Leaders of Today, the nonprofit, gives away microgrants to 14 to 25-year-olds. So if those students have an idea of something that they want to do to change their community, Leaders of Today will give them a microgrant of up to $1,000 to go and do that project.
This year, Leaders of Today has added an education component of our nonprofit. We have developed a leadership curriculum discussing our 7 values: leadership, generosity, teamwork, innovation, networking, service, and fun. These videos can be found on our YouTube at Leaders of Today CO. We also have used this curriculum to host 2 summer programs for both high schoolers and middle schoolers, as well as an annual high school conference. We are now expanding by developing a 7-week high school leadership training. Cohorts will meet weekly to enhance their leadership skills.
To learn more about Leaders of Today, you can visit leadersoftodayco.com. How has what you learned at COLA made you a better leader today?
Yeah,
leader of today?
I guess I've echoed it a little bit in like some of the responses earlier, but like just saying that, like understanding that I'm not just leading, but I'm also serving a group of people, or like serving the organization and those people that I'm trying to benefit in whatever I'm doing. And so like I guess like that's the main thing is not only like having that impact statement, but also being able to live that out every day, and also being just being a good person overall. I think COLA gave us a wide range of people who you would be like, just a whole bunch of people from diverse backgrounds who were all leaders in their own right. But somehow in that space we were, everybody was respectful enough to listen to every single person, right? And so I guess that's something that also, helped me, because I'm able to give space for other people to be themselves and to lead in their own way. And I really enjoy that, because sometimes I'm like, you know what? Do I really need to say that? Do I really need to be that person? Just, lay back, let somebody else do something. So I think, that's what I learned from COLA a lot. It's really just a lot of values and just a lot of things that people, like, more than what we talked about at the thing, but like what people did, like the students, what they showed me, like actively, that was very, very nice. And every day, like, when I sit down and think back to it, I'm like, I'm really excited about it, and I'm glad I had that opportunity.
I know, seriously. I for sure wouldn't be the same person without going to COLA. But I think you're so right in just the fact that, like, you don't always have to be the person. You don't have to be the figurehead.
Exactly.
To be the one that actually gets to lead the whatever you're doing. Like, goodness, even in Leaders of Today, I think the best I'm probably not the best leader that we have. I think that everyone else leads in such great ways in their own areas that it just makes it all work together.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, I remember like the first time at school where like I was on this board where we approved like new organizations.
Yeah.
And one club came up with like they had like no other like positions but presidents. And, I think, like, we were all confused. Like, we were like, no, that's impossible, right?
Have 4 presidents?
Like, what do you mean? But then, like, after we did that, like, I think I was, like, one of the only people who were saying, like, let's see how it turns out. Like, it sounds weird to us because we always have president, vice president, this, that, and that. But what if they make it work? Because it's just a matter of delegating stuff to each president to do. But that's what I think of when I, think about like leaders of today or even COLA, like the students and like the people on the board, even though they're like defined positions, like everybody is still leading in their own way. Like, and that's what's important, is being able to like, maybe not be called the president, but you're doing things like the president. Like, some of your roles overlap. And that's the thing. Like, people have to give space for that to happen because, you never know when somebody's idea, maybe somebody who's not like the president or vice president's idea just is better, right?
Yeah.
You have to be willing to like be like, okay, that's good. Let's go with that idea. So
one of the things that Faith talks about a lot, Faith was just our intern. She's actually now one of our board members, but while she was an intern, she talked about all the time how she does the same things that I do, or she does the same things that Madison does, and Madison's the president, I'm the executive director. So like, yeah, we have titles and roles, and like if something really comes down, like a decision really needs to be made, I will be the one that makes that decision. Yeah. But on a day-to-day basis,
everybody is leading.
We all do the same thing.
It overlaps a lot, and I feel like people have to be able to like recognize that, or at least like give space for that to happen, because it's really important for growth in like organizations and even like growth as a person. So
yeah, I'm even for anybody, I think that would come in. We would just be like, whatever you want to do, come do it, please, because we need help. All right, so you just graduated a few weeks ago, so congratulations. You graduated from Kenyon College, So what are some of the experiences that you got to have in school? So I know that you got to travel a lot. So what are some experiences you had like traveling, but then also some of the ones that you had here, and how have these experiences changed your perspectives on leadership?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was weird, like, this whole college, these 4 years were weird, especially because COVID was like right in the middle. Like COVID was like after spring break of my freshman year. And then, like, that whole summer, we didn't go back to school. And then we went back to school. We're in this bubble where you couldn't leave. So we had, like...
It really was right in the middle for you.
Yes, my whole sophomore year was, like, straight school with no breaks. So first semester, we went to, like, I don't know, however many weeks of school we had. Like, we did all of it together, and then we had our break after. So, like, instead of, like, maybe getting 3 weeks for break, we got, like, a month and, like, some change off of that. Right? So that's what we did. That way, when you went home for the break, you weren't coming back to the school until, like, the next semester, and you had a COVID testing and all that. But like that year was just really taxing, because like you were doing a lot of school and a lot of nothing, because there weren't like sports was not a thing. Like we tried to play basketball outside, but those like our campus safety would tell us like there's too many of you guys, you can't be around each other, you have to go back. And so it was a lot of, you're doing a lot of school. You have to try to figure out a lot of stuff. But it was just like having like these little organizations. We used to meet on Zoom, like for me, you and Josh, and for other organizations on campus too. It was a Zoom thing, right? And so it was like you had to do this, have this extra effort to like be on the Zoom. I mean, it's just a click, but like getting up, grabbing your computer and setting it up was like a whole thing sometimes, because it was like I'm just sitting, like half my classes are on Zoom, some are in person, and I had to like sit so far away from everybody. And it was just like, man, I can't even have some of these interactions that you have on a daily basis. Like for my school, like the first semester, it was only freshmen and sophomores that were allowed back so that everybody could have a single room. So they didn't have like two people in the same room. So it was like it was very, very weird. And then like junior year, I guess like, COVID wasn't over obviously, but junior year, like we went back to like a regular school schedule. And then I went abroad in my my second semester junior year, which I guess like that brought some sense of normalcy.
Wait, where'd you go?
I went to Denmark. So like, and the thing about Denmark was like, we had got to that variant, I think it was the Omicron variant, where like it wasn't as deadly, but once you got it, you were like almost immune to like getting COVID again. It was like one of those variants that came out. So like they weren't putting any restrictions or bans on like, going out and stuff. So like a lot of people got the variant that wasn't deadly, but then they weren't getting the real COVID. So it was like a big shift from like not being able to see a lot of people to seeing a lot of people, which I was really excited about. I found like I was able to play basketball for like the first time in a long time. Like we played outside and, during the pandemic, but
like actually being inside on an actual court.
When you're playing and then they're like, you guys, there's too many of you. You got to go back. It's like, oh man, we got to go. But once I was in Denmark, I was playing a lot of basketball, and like there was a group chat of, people that play soccer too. So we'd go play soccer in these like random parks, like in Denmark, get on the metro, like get on the train. Like it was weird. I live very far away from the soccer place. And because like the people that organized they had like a park right behind them. So it was cool. Okay. I had to like get on like 2 metros to get there. It was like this weird amount of dedication. But like, I guess like in those 2 years, like between the pandemic and then going between like that weird some year and going abroad, I realized like how much I needed a human interaction. Like even now, like, I just want to see somebody and talk to them in person as opposed to like being remote. It meant more to me, and it really put things into perspective. Like, all this, we talk about leadership. How can you be effective when the people you're trying to impact you can't even see or like actually like there's no physical presence. You just like talking at people on a Zoom call all the time.
It's
like
so hard.
It was so difficult, but I guess it helped put things into perspective and like give you like that understanding. Like, oh, this is what I enjoy. This is what I don't enjoy. This is what I want to do. Like I don't like going out a lot, but I like being with the people I enjoy being around, right? So
I remember even during COVID, we had, I guess even really towards the beginning of COVID, we had there was like the lockdown. So like once you weren't like well, that's a lie. I went to a park every single day during the lockdown because we were still allowed to go to parks. So I went to a park every day. But once that was like lifted, kind of, I was allowed to like, I guess we were like quarantining, but with another family. So I was always either at my house or was it Philip and Amber's house.
Okay.
Philip's on season 1. I think Amber's gonna be on this season 2.
Yeah, okay.
Which is cool. But I was always at their house. So even now, like those are the people that I will like go talk to. Actually, it was really last night. I was like got home and I was laying in bed and I was like, I don't want to be alone, but I don't want to be with like real. I don't want to actually socialize.
Exactly.
And I was like, well, my parents are doing something, and I was like, and the Bassams are doing something. So it's just kind of like there. Exactly. And then I was like, wait a minute. And then Philip called me. He was like, you want to go look at a car with me? So I was like, yeah. It was great. And then actually we came back from looking at cars, like Philip and my parents, we all like sat and talked for a few hours. And honestly, that was like, it was great. Yeah. I don't know why I told that. Told that. Okay. Oh, but it was just like quarantining with like certain people, and those people are still the ones I'm closest to.
And so it was just very, but I guess like, it helped us like really, really. You had to like be innovative in a sense. I don't know if that was one of the words we had at Cola, but I know it came up a lot. Trying to like not be static with how you're leading. So like, with Zoom calls, like with being specific about what you're saying, because like, if you didn't have the organizational Zoom stuff, it was just 40 minutes. Yeah. You can't just ramble on and on. So it was like,
had to.
Okay, we're doing this day. We have this event on this day. We're all gonna have masks on. We're gonna meet at this spot, and you had to get to that point. You can't just guys, I know we haven't seen each other in a while, so let's just we gave space for people to talk about like how you're feeling and stuff, but it was just really quickly like highs and lows, like how have you been, how you what are your highest points in school so far, what are the lowest points, and how can we help, like even though we're remote and all that stuff. But it was really nice in that sense, because like you saw different ways people could lead. Like some people, some of my friends I know who were shy really thrived. Yeah. Like, talking on Zoom. Like, I was like, man, I didn't know you could do all this. Like,
I didn't know you were smart.
I didn't know you could, like, explain things this well. Like, every time you're talking to me, you're like, you're hesitant about saying stuff. But now, like, you're getting, you're doing everything that you were able to do. But now, like, being able to not be in front of all those people, you're like, okay, cool, I can go ahead and talk. And so it was like, for me, I was like, I don't want to be on Zoom all the time. But for like some of my other friends that I saw who were, entering this space of leadership, they were really doing really well. And so I was really, really impressed with that. And so, just the innovation of like, having to like circumvent what plans you have originally. It was really nice. I was impressed by it. And I guess like being a Kenyan and having a whole bunch of people who are very smart. And that's the thing about college. Like, people are smart in college, right? So having all those people around you, like, every day. Like, sometimes, like, you're trying to have a regular conversation, but now you're, like, going deep about something that, you thought it was going to be a quick hi and bye, but now I'm like, okay, all right.
It's like every conversation with Josh.
Man,
he goes so deep, so fast.
Josh does not have small talk in him at all. Like this, he does not understand small talk. And
he can't do
that's
it.
how a lot of, like, sometimes, you see someone as, hi, nod and go, but like some people, it's really never that. I mean, it's just, let's figure this out.
Honestly, though, it's probably a good thing to not do small talk like that, though.
Because, you're not building that connection the way. But, like, I guess a long small talk over years, like, then you're like, you see the person, you're like, I know you really well, but, like, you guys have, like, literally said one word to each other for, like, the past 2 years. It's so strange.
So post-graduation, what are your plans moving forward?
Yeah, so, I know I've talked to you about this a little bit, but for the summertime at least, I'm going back to Kenyon for 3 weeks to do a Chem Force, a summer program I did when I was in high school twice, actually. And
you did it twice?
Yes, I did it as a rising junior and as a rising senior.
Wow.
So yeah, it was like, I think that was like the first camp I did actually when I first got here. That was the first summer here, 2017 summer. And then I went to Cola because I got here in October, which was a weird time. Don't get me wrong. I got here on 31st. So it was...
October 31st?
Yes, it was Halloween night, man. When I tell you I was so confused. It was like I was at the airport with my sister, especially in New York. Like, New York is so full, right?
Just imagine that.
I was so lost. Like, I was lost for words. I was like, there's no way people are dressed up like this. No way
everyone dressed up like this every day. And
I didn't know that was a
candy?
thing. I was
what
like,
the heck?
What do you mean by trick or treat? The kids were talking too fast for me to even understand what they were saying at the time. So I was like, thank you, no. And I just walked away. I just
no.
I had no idea. Like, because like I had like two responses to everything. It was either okay, thank you, or no.
Yeah.
Like, if I didn't understand what it was, I just said no and then walk away, like, early on, because, like, people spoke too fast for me to even hear. Like, it was like, I'm like, what? Did you just say words to me? I'm like, yeah, I have no clue what you're talking about.
Holy cow.
But I did Chem 4, like, and it was like a, college intensive courses for 3 weeks, so it was weird. Like, I remember, like, being in class, like, being at Beechcroft and going there, like, I didn't want to say anything. Like, because I'm like, it takes me a longer time to even grasp what the teacher is saying because of how fast I think they're talking. And two, I don't want to say anything that makes it sound like, because I don't want anybody to be like, huh, what did you say? So I actively made a decision not to say a word. But like in Chem 4, it was just questions after questions after questions. I was like, my God, do I really have to respond to? Oh yeah, like, yes, you have to. I'm
every
like,
single
man,
one.
Every single day I'm like answering questions. I guess like Chem 4 helped me like come out of that shell, like where I started like actually actively like, I'll say something, like instead of like keeping like, sometimes I know the answer in class when I was at Beechcroft, I just won't say it because I'm like, yeah, I don't want to get laughed at because of how I sound, or I'm just gonna avoid it all.
Yeah.
But then when I did Chem 4, it helped me. So like it has a special place in my heart. So I'm like, I did it last summer too. I TA'd with my history professor who he was teaching when I did Chem 4. He's still doing it. So I'm going to be TAing for him this year as well for 3 weeks. And then after that, it's going to be like early July. So just waiting for like midway through July to go back to Cola.
Yeah.
So it's just really like, I'm going back to the things I started doing when I first got here.
So
like
cool.
It
really
feels
awesome.
very nice for me, and, full circle, because Cola and Chem 4 hold very special places in my heart. Like Chem 4 brought me out of my shell. Like I started like, talking, like, I started being myself more. Like, I'll say stuff, I'll crack a joke here and there. Like, I was comfortable enough to do that over there. But before that, I was like, yeah, like no amount of money will make me open my mouth and say a word in class. It didn't matter. Like, and everybody could not know the answer, and I'll know it. I'll just be like, I look everywhere but at the board or the screen. I'm like, nah, not me. Can't be me. But Chem 4 did that for me. And so, like, I always, like, last year when I did it, I was very excited because I was able to, like, teach students, like, just help them out with schoolwork and stuff like that. And I'm going to do that again this year. But, it's just trying to leave that impact that I felt when I first got here. And then, going back to Cola as, one of the interns, I'm really excited because I'm like, I did this as a student. I'm ready to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Differently, because I still talk
It
to.
It is so different as a going back as like an intern versus when you're actually there. Because I've done it twice now, 2019 and then last year, and like just seeing the whole process play out, like what's happening.
Exactly.
Like in your mind, day 2, everyone's gonna bond so much.
Yes.
But like everyone there is like, I don't
want to be here.
This.
I don't want to.
Please don't make me do these things.
I remember when we had to do. I remember like everybody was excited we were leaving like the KIPP facility to go to like this games course, but like little to the people.
And then once we got there, we were like, no.
Bonded. Like everybody was like, yeah, no. Like the human knot thing.
Yes.
Like they were like, yeah, I might have said I wanted to come here, but I don't no more. Take me back home.
Right.
It was, but like. And I guess like being like doing it as a student and then being an intern, you're like, ooh, like
seeing
I did
the
this.
whole process
they're gonna
so
bond.
Cool. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
So you've decided to take a gap year, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So walk me through that process. Like why?
Yeah. So like the biggest thing was I wanted to focus on like finishing like school strong. So instead of like focusing on like, I'm applying to these programs in these schools right now as I'm trying to do my capstone for school, do this and do that. I was like, it makes more sense, especially since school is expensive.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of just continuing? Yeah, I went to Kenyon, and I'm, glad to say it was debt free. I was able to get a scholarship that made that happen. And so
crazy.
I'm hoping I can try to at least replicate something like that, or even if I can't, like, if I have to pay for just housing and like, food and stuff like that, I have some money sitting down. Yeah. But also like it gives me time, like, just time to apply to like these things, right? And so like I'm gonna be applying, like things are gonna start opening up for the 2024 year, like very soon, like in October, August, like in those months, like the latter months. So I'm gonna start applying for that. But it's just really also a chance to figure out if I do want to go to law school, but it's also a chance to figure out like, are there more options out there for me? Like something else that I might want to do, especially since like there's like sometimes I said I'm like, man, I wish I could do everything all at once.
Right.
But it's
Me
like
too.
There's just not enough time in my life. I'm like, no. I wish like we have 48 hours in a day.
Right.
Like sometimes I'm like, man, I want more hours. Like
it's actually funny you say that because I'm stepping back from a whole bunch of different things right now. I'm actually stepping back from 2 other organizations that I'm in. Like a board. Well, actually, one I'm a secretary of, and one I'm just a board member of. And but like it's funny because like there's so many things that I want to do, but there's just not enough time. And I would rather put my energy into the things that I really want to do, like Leaders of Today and like my job versus
like everything
being
else.
pulled apart in 12 different directions.
That's the thing that like being at college and like coming out of it, like I was like, man, I'm drained. I try to do some of everything. Like I played club soccer. Like I played pickup basketball with my friends. I was part of like 3-4 organizations, like, as like board members. Like I was doing all these things because I was like, why not? But then like, after a certain while, you're like, man, I'm doing so much. I don't even have time to like even take care of myself or even have time for those very important things that I really, really enjoy.
And you can't pour from an empty cup.
Man.
So you got to make sure you fill yourself up first before you can give it to others.
It's like, taking the year off. I'm also like, I've done school for a long time. I need a break. I just need something to do. Like, I'm gonna have a job to do. Like after the summer, I'm still like searching. It's been really nice.
At the airport, let me know.
Yeah, I'll let you know definitely.
That'd be so much fun.
I've been looking for like a whole bunch of like different things. Like, and it's like the weirdest thing because I just apply to like the randomest of things, and it's like some of them I'm like, do I even know what this is? No, but hey, why not, right?
Why not?
But I've applied to just a whole bunch of stuff. But like, I'm just really looking forward to this summer because Chem 4 starts I think next Thursday.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean for the TAs and RAs.
Yeah.
So we have to be there and set up the place and like, write cards for the students who are going to come in. So that's going to be that. But like, I'm looking forward to that and to COLA because I haven't been back to COLA in any way since I first did it. Like that's outside crazy. Of the alumni committee we were a part of, like this is really the first time I'm like, okay, I'm going to be in COLA. So I'm really excited for those 2 things. But like the gap year thing is just a matter of I need to apply to things and the application process are not short at all. They're like very long. And I was impressed with like the students that applied within the school year. I was like, my God, like
how'd you find time to do that?
I'm tired looking at you do it. Like that's a lot of work, but that was really nice. I know like a couple of my friends that are, like one of my friends is going to NYU Law, which is nice. He got a full ride down there, so I'm really happy for him. And he has family there, so he's gonna be living with family. Like it's just all working out perfectly. I'm just so happy for him. And so, just figuring out like also where I want to go, what I want to do in law school, even like all that stuff. Yes, what kind of law? All that stuff is like so something I think about in a year.
That leads us right into the next question: why law school? Great news! Did you know the Leaders of Today podcast is now on YouTube? You can follow our YouTube channel at Leaders of Today CO. It also has the curriculum that Leaders of Today has developed over the past year on it.
Wow! I gotta check that out. And you can also follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn and where else?
And Facebook.
At Students Leading Today.
Yeah, so go follow along to see what we're up to now. It's all of our nonprofit stuff, but also has all of our podcast things. And you can also go to our website, leadersoftoday.co/podcast, and then you can comment and see the people on the show and people from last season, and you can listen to us wherever podcasts are.
Lots of good stuff. There might even be puppies on there.
Maybe even puppies. Right, Gibby?
Yeah. I mean, like I was just saying, like I think law school will be, like, it's one of those things where I really can't tell specifically why, but I think it's one of those spaces where I think, and at least I feel like I can make change, especially with, like, a lot of things happening now, like, being in law, being able to help people like me, but also, like, I don't know what specific law I want to do. I know I want to help people, but, like, me and my dad were just talking, like, a few days ago. We were looking at talking about immigration stuff, right? And it's like, I have a lot of family back home who, especially with like education in Ghana right now and like how bad the economy is. I know a lot of people who are out of school, out of college, who have no jobs, right? And it's like, what ways can I help people? I know a lot of people who are, who have great grades that are really impeccable and who could benefit with like the education system in America, right? And so it's like, thinking about all those things, I realized like, why not law school, right? So, why not figure out a way to help people in this sphere? Like, even if I don't, change laws directly, I can, impact people's lives by, representing them, like, when they need help, like, and even like, and it gives me that connection. Even if I don't do immigration law, I went to law school, I'll definitely know one or two people who did that. Who can help me.
Yeah.
Like, with some of my family who, especially like after high school, can't figure out what to do next. Like, because they're like, oh, even if I go to college, like, I'm not even guaranteed a job. Like, nobody is guaranteed a job, but at least it gives you a shot at it, right? And so just trying to figure that out, because sometimes it's, talking about like, all this leadership stuff, figuring out what to do, what not to do. It always goes back to like how much, opportunities has my family given me, and, how much do I want to give back in turn, right? My family is like extremely big, like back home in Ghana, and like, because I grew up with my cousins and stuff like that. Yeah. So like I just have a whole bunch of cousins, just so many, right? Sometimes I'll, one of them will call me like, hey man, how you doing, man? Can you send me $10? I'm like, yeah, I got you. I got $10 in my bank account. I can send you that, right? And so it's like, once I figured I want to help people, I also want to help some of my family back home. It was just like, how and where can you help them? Like, I'm either working in the government or I'm like, I'm doing something law related, immigration related, just something in that sphere. And like, I know there are many ways. Like, I know some of my friends that are national students that apply to Kenyan, who, like, one of my friends called Prince from Ghana. He applied from Ghana to Kenyan, and he got in. And now he's about to figure out what he's gonna do for the year, because he's also taking a gap year before he does whatever he wants to do. But he's the one I was telling you does film stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So like, he shoots a lot of movies, and he's trying to, like, when it's all said and done, he's trying to go back home and try to help the movie industry in Ghana.
This is probably a terrible like time to do that during the writer's strike.
Exactly. Right. And so it's like, that's why it's a good thing that he's taking a year off, because like, you need to wait for the writers to come back too. So
right.
So like it's just a matter of how can I help, and so it's I think law school gives me that opportunity, and I always tell some of my friends, man, sometimes I argue for no reason, and if I'm gonna get paid to argue, I guess I'll take it too. Like sometimes I'm like, and sometimes it's really some of the most like it's really nothing to argue about, but I'm trying to prove the point. Like I'm like, yeah, the principle here is
my dad's the same way.
You're wrong.
My dad will argue about anything.
Like, and it's sometimes it's really the randomest of things. Like it don't mean, like sometimes I actually genuinely don't even believe in that, but just for the purpose of going back and forth, let me say that, right? So it's like I'm like, why not get paid while doing that as well, right? And so it's just a matter of, I know I want to help people. I know I have family back home who need help, who will benefit a lot from, like, even if 1 or 2 people could come here, because since there's a lot of them, like my family being here, they're like the one and only like beneficiaries, so they have to like help most of the people. But if another family is here, then they also somebody else takes some of the burden off. Especially like my dad always talking about some of the pressures he's under. Like the great thing is I got a full ride to school, so like it's not a lot of pressure to like, oh, send money for school fees. I need money for this, right? It was just a matter of I'm going to school. I just need $50 for like laundry and stuff, because we have free print in the school and no laundry, so I need like quarters and stuff. But that's really it. And then I had a job as well, on campus, so like I have enough money to like keep up with like the things I want to do, right? So sometimes I drive into Columbus. It's only an hour away. And then my mom will make a lot of food, and I just take it back, and me and my friends would eat down there. And so it's like trying to continuously try to take some of the burden off them. And also law school is only 3 years. Like it's not right then and there, but it's also not nearly as long as like other things. So I feel like it's a good fit for me. I argue for no reason sometimes. So might as well get money out of it, but also like I can help people, like, because I take some of the tenets and values we've learned from Cola, and you can apply it to being in like law, trying to figure out like, how do I read into this law well to like impact this person's life who needs help, right? And so just having that is really important.
So that leads kind of right into our next question.
Yes.
Tell us about your immigration story.
Yeah, I mean, not to go on and on, but like just it was really the weirdest thing, because I know like my mom always talks about it like being a miracle and like having to thank God all the time, but like when like we were going to like when we got a message to go to the embassy for the like interview, because you do this interview thing.
That's so cool.
I
love going to embassies.
Yes. It's so fun. Like
honestly, if you ever get to go to an embassy, just take it.
Yes.
Or like, just like if you're ever in DC.
Too, right? Embassies.
Yeah.
Yes, like
if you're ever in
DC has like random
just schedule meetings or like a
just
tour.
Going there.
It's so much fun.
It's so nice.
When I go to DC, I always like take a whole day.
Yes.
And I'm like, I just schedule like, tour after tour.
Embassies are next to each other.
Yeah.
Too, so
it's embassy, like the whole big street.
Exactly.
And like, yeah, and they're all so nice, and it's just
so
cool.
Nice. It's pretty. It's really, really pretty.
And you're actually in different countries, because technically land is a different country. So I've never left America, but I've been in lots of different countries.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And so like I like going to the embassy. Like I remember when we got to the gate, like, because like they were making my passport at this time, and I was supposed to get it the morning off before we went to the interview, but we were waiting, and I didn't have my passport. We got to the door, and the security guard somehow let me and my sister in, even though I didn't have my passport. So my mom always talks about like that moment as like, that's just God. There's no way. Like it's like I've never heard of anybody go into an embassy without a passport. Like especially if you're going there to get a visa to go to a different country, right? So I got in there, and like it's like magic, or like as she says, it's a miracle. Like but like a minute before we're called up to like the lady to talk to about like answering certain questions, the interview, like I hear on the PA system, Gideon Adjei, your passport is outside. And so I walk outside, grab that passport. Immediately I sit down. We hear from right in front of us, Eugenia and Gideon, and then we walk up, and like
holy cow.
It was really this weird thing. We were in the American embassy, because we were sitting there like it was looking like, okay, well, my sister is probably gonna have to be the only one going. I don't have a passport. Even if they approve, what are they gonna put? Like, what are they gonna approve it in, right? I don't have a passport. I'm just sitting here with nothing, right? But God came through, and in that moment, I realized, man, like, if I do actually, everything is working out, I get there, like, I'm gonna actually have to come back and help, because
That is such a crazy story.
It's not just like, everything went smoothly. Like, to this day, it makes no sense to me. Like, even even going to the airport, you can't like walk through without a passport. Like, imagine going to a whole other country's land without a passport. It's like, it's never heard of. And so it was really nice in that moment. But after we got, because I was in school at this time, I was still in middle school. Yeah, so I was in school all this, so I had to like take like 2 days off to go do that, because it's like on the whole other side of town. So we had to go over there, get that done. But it's like the funniest part was really at the airport. Like, the Ghana airports, like when I was coming here, they had no seats. Like, so you have to stand the whole way through till it's time for you to board your plane.
Oh man,
it's the most stressful thing. And one of my uncles, like, he literally walked with us from the beginning to the end. Like, it was like the only thing he didn't do was get on the plane.
Do you enjoy listening to Leaders of Today podcast? If you do, share with a friend. Or you can follow us to stay up to date with new releases or new episodes and leave us a review. I am so thankful that you guys are listening, because I enjoy so much recording these podcasts. So just thank you for being amazing listeners.
I mean, every time the officials would ask him, like, where are you going? Are you flying with them? He'd say, nah, I'm not, but they're my kids, so I'm making sure they get on there because they're only kids, right? So he literally walked all the way from, like, the beginning. Like, when you go to the airport, like, you have to go through all the customs, especially when you're flying international. You got to go through customs. He went through all that with us to the end of the line until, like, we were right there about to board before he literally left. And it was...
Wow.
I was like, man. So, like, after that, we get on a plane. I mean, that's the first time we're flying. It was weird. Like,
wow,
I wasn't scared when the plane took off. Like, when it, when it stayed up in the air for so long, I was like, because I was sitting in the window seat, and I don't know why, but I took a peek outside. I was like, my God.
Oh, I love looking out the window.
No, but, I do now, but, like, that was then. I was like, my goodness, I'm so high up in the air. Like, I was literally, I'm like, oh, man. Like, I literally had to put in the headphones, put on, like, a whole bunch of random movies to distract me from the fact that, like, I'm in the air. And I'm literally staying in the air.
You're just suspended in the air.
The part that, like, got to me really a lot was, like, when the plane landed in New York. Because, I felt it land. I was like, oh, my goodness, what's happening? Because, like, this whole thing is new. Mind you, I didn't even go look up how does it feel. Like, I didn't even look up nothing. I just went. Me and my sister got in.
I wouldn't look up anything either, I'm sure.
We was just there, man. I watched a whole bunch of movies because I was like, man, I got to distract myself. But we got to New York, man. That was the most stressful bit because, again, like, it was Halloween. Like, New York is so busy. Like, we're new, so we're trying to figure out, like, where we even got to go. We're looking at our tickets. We're like, okay, cool. This is the gate. This is whatever we got to go to. And the wild thing is, like, the gates change and stuff. So, like, sometimes they're like, oh, okay, we're moving this to gate this. Mm-hmm. And we're looking at our paper like, oh. And then my sister was like, I see something up here because she was looking at the screen.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, let's go to this other gate instead because it looks like they've changed it. I was like, maybe not. But then we went to the other gate, and thank God we did because they had changed it, but we were just looking at the paper. We didn't know. To be honest, like,
airports are kind of confusing and stressful.
They are, like, and they don't have no tutorials. You just get there, you're thrown in the mix.
There is no airport tutorial. That's true.
None.
That's so true, especially your first time by yourself.
New York is so big. Like, I feel like anywhere else would have been better. New York was, oh my goodness, the lines were massive. Like, we just kept walking. And then once we got to our gate and we got on the plane, once we landed in Columbus, my parents were waiting for us outside. But, you can't stay outside for a long time. So they had to pull up, circle around, sit back again because, like, again, like we got in a different thing, so they didn't know when exactly. They knew we were gonna get in around midnight, but they didn't know when exactly. So they just kept going back and forth until, like, we came outside.
Just so you know, there is a lot. It's called the cell phone lot. Not too far away. It's like right outside, so they can just text you when they get there. It's like the whole parking lot for that. Honestly, like, a lot of people don't know about it because I only know because I work there.
I see it all the time. I just drive right past it and go sit in the front, and then the dude is like,
You gotta move.
You gotta move. You're not supposed to say. You're not supposed to park. I'm like, the person is coming right now. I promise. They're walking. They're like,
you gotta go around.
You gotta go around. So then you do the whole loop around just to come back again, and then sit there and if the person is not out, now you're still stuck, and then now you gotta go around again. That was just weird. But once we got here, like I remember, like the first thing I remember was, outside of Halloween, was how bright the lights were. Man, I was so lost. Like. I was like, man.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
The lights in America,
especially at the airport, because there is lights everywhere.
Man. And like once we got out of the airport too, like there was so many cars, like for it to be 12 a.m.
Yeah.
But like the lights were so bright. I don't know how to explain it. To this day, I can't. I have not got that feeling ever again. But the lights were they look like what I see like out of the movies, like when I was in Ghana, like when you watch a movie and they'll do like those shots from above, and then there's all these like red, yellow lights, just a whole bunch of lights. That's literally how it looked to me when we got into the car and we were on the road to come in like down here to back home. It just looked so bright, and I was like, man, and it looked like bright, but not like it was just like blinding lights. It was just bright, pretty. Yeah. And like to this day, every day I'm coming from the airport, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll it'll be the same thing again. But it really never is. I guess like it was that first time of seeing like that much light in the same place. It was so pretty, and I was so excited. Then we got home at like around 11 something. My little brother was there because he was born here, so he was just waiting for us at home because he had to go to school the next day. So. He wasn't coming. Yeah, because we came in like the middle of his school. Like I don't remember what day specifically it was, obviously, but it was
whatever October 31st and
yes, people are still gonna trick or treat.
17
now, 16.
16.
I believe, yeah. So now I know like people are gonna, regardless of what day night it is, they're gonna get their candy, right? And so. We do that. We get home like the first few months. You
probably had a bunch of candy as soon as you got home, didn't you? Did your brother go trick or treating?
Yes, my brother had candy at home, so it was just.
Why are all these?
I remember I ate a lot of Twix bars. I ate a lot of Twix. I should have got sick, really but I didn't. I love Twix. I'm guessing that's why I do, because I ate so much of it.
Probably.
Yes, but Twix was really, really good, and I like it a lot now. I always get it like when you go to like Target, like when you're about to go pay. I feel like that's a good strategy. They put like all the candy. Oh yeah, they do right that.
That's totally on purpose.
Man, I'm like, I always get a Twix bar. I always.
Do you know it's actually more expensive to put stuff there than like other places on the shelf? They actually stores sell shelf space. So depending on where it is, they will sell the shelf space for whatever product you have.
Man,
so I think that's the most expensive spot versus everywhere else. Is like that's why the milk is like in the back corner.
Oh,
you're not gonna like walk by milk and be like, "Ooh, I want milk now."
No, man. Every time, like I was just at the Target like a few days ago, and I literally grabbed a Twix bar. Like, every time. I don't. To be honest, I don't even know how much it costs. I just know I always add it to whatever I'm buying. I always add it. So that was, I guess, like the story. It's really, it's fun and weird, and like it's just a whole bunch of things happening. Yeah. It was. And to this day, I'm always like, man, it makes no sense, but I'm glad, I got out of that, figured it all out. But, coming into America was one of those moments where, like, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, like, I had all my friends, like, we were going to school. Like, it was one thing I know, like, the first few months I got here, I was like, man, if I was asked, like, oh, do you want to come to America or do you want to stay back home? I'd have, like, said I want to stay back home in a heartbeat. Like, there would have been no question. Like, all my friends, like, everything I know is here. But I guess now, like, looking at it, I guess it's really nice because I have certain opportunities I know would have been difficult to have, being here. And also, like, I've met a lot of great people here, too. And, I went back home last summer, like, before Camp 4. Like, when I came back from Denmark, like, the next day I had to fly to Ghana. The only good thing is the hours between Denmark and Ghana is only an hour, like the time difference. So, like, I wasn't, like, sleeping and stuff was flying. Like, my parents and my siblings were struggling. I was sleeping like a baby.
You were like, I'm good.
I'm laying down. I'm going to bed. But they were struggling. But I went back to Ghana, and I was like, man, this is nice. I get to still see my friends, talk to them. And, I have a whole bunch of friends now, and outside of that, like, I have 2 homes, right? 2 places I can say, genuinely that I enjoy and that are my home, and I'm really excited about that. And I'm happy about it, but sometimes I'm like, man, if I really had the chance, I probably wouldn't. Like, if I had the choice to say, oh, I don't want to go or I want to go, it would have been a no-brainer. It would have been, I'd never been here. But I guess, like, having your parents here, wanting to see my little brother because he was born here. They used to bring him to Ghana, like, over the summers. So, like, we used to see him. But, like, trying to be there for, you know, all of us to be in the same space was also, like, one of the reasons. I was like, man, you know what? It's okay. Like, and because the first few months, there was really nothing to do because we were waiting for the Horizon to call us back, like, all this stuff. And then we went to Columbus City Schools, and they were like, yeah, Beechcraft is the closest. And, you know, I guess here I am today after all that. So
yeah,
it wasn't bad at all. I gotta say, it's an amazing, like, random story that I always say.
Sure.
Like, I'm like, my mom always, like, every time she prays and gives thanks, it's always like to that moment. Like, we thank God for that.
So, kind of as we wrap things up, why have you decided to get involved with Leaders of Today?
And again, like, after COLA, it was really just a matter of, like, you know, we have these impact statements. We know we have these things, but, like, where's the opportunity, like, to do these things? And, like, you know, once you told me about Leaders of Today, once I seen, like, all this stuff online, I was like, man, there's no question about it. Like, I have to, like, at least, you know, be there to, like, see what's going on.
I'm pretty sure you reached out to me first about Leaders of Today.
That's what I'm saying. I texted that because I was scrolling on Facebook one time. And then I see Jordan Reeves. Mind you, I didn't even remember we followed each other on Facebook.
Yeah, because I didn't have it at that point.
I usually go on Facebook to, like, see, like, posts from my friends back home in Ghana because that's what they use a lot. So I'm scrolling, I see it, and then it say, like, it has an Instagram link. So I click it, and then I'm on the Instagram. It's like a page. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, because it didn't have, like, a lot of stuff on it yet.
Yeah.
Because you guys were not making it. I was like, wait a minute now.
That was before Izzy.
Yes. So then I text you. I'm like, hey, man, I see, you know, this is happening, man, you know. Because I don't know how your number was still on my phone. But, like, I guess, like, Apple, like, once the thing is on iCloud, it really never goes. So I just typed Jordan Reeves on my phone, and then it popped up. Like, because I texted you on Instagram first, right? I texted you on Instagram when I saw your post about Leaders of Today. Because I remember that's when I texted you, and then I looked for your contact, and
you still had it?
Yes, and I still had it. So I was like, okay. And then you told me about, like, Leaders of Today, and then we started talking about, like, the other projects, like Adult Cola and stuff, like all that other stuff. And, you know, and it's just a matter of, like, you know, how can I help? Like, in what way can I help Leaders of Today? In what capacity? And it's been great being here. Like, I've met a good amount of good people, like, you know, new people who are really great at leading and, like, taking initiative for, like, the things that are, you know, a part of Leaders of Today. And also, like, it's really full circle because you got to think about, like, when we started doing COLA, we had, like sometimes we'll talk about, like, when we're in the car, like, we talk about, like, I forget his name. Was it Nathan?
Oh, Nathan Mins?
Yes, Nathan Mins.
Nathan Mins is actually also on this season.
Exactly. And, like, I remember, like, we talk about, like, oh, you know, because Nathan used to do some of everything for COLA, right? We were like, oh, man, I want to be like the Nathan of COLA one day, right?
We talk about Nathan and him being on the board.
Yes.
At some point on this season.
This
is a picture of me and Nathan.
Oh, yeah. Man, that's so smooth. But yeah, I was like, man, like, you know, Nathan was really this guy who did some of everything. He had his hand in, you know, every
we
part
all
of
wanted
COLA.
To be Nathan.
Exactly. And he was that inspirational story, like, what, you know, even if I don't have, like, a specific thing to do, like, how can I help, right? And so, like, you know, in any capacity, I was like, man, Leaders of Today is doing something that, you know, we all wish we had, and we all wish we had opportunity to do, like, start something in our community, have funding for it, right?
Yeah.
And now that you came up with the idea, having, like, you know, the whole thing started, I was like, man, there's no reason I can't,
to not help. Yeah.
Exactly. There's no reason to not be a part of it because now, like, it really is, like, COLA coming to fruition. Like, this is what I want to do.
It's crazy.
This is what I'm doing now, right? So I was like, man, this is a no-brainer. I have to at least reach out and see how I can help with, you know, all that stuff. So, yeah.
So if you could be a leader in anything, what would it be and then why?
In anything.
In anything.
No I have absolutely. Because, again, like I was saying, like, I just want to do some of everything.
Right.
Like, I want to.
Right.
I just want to be a leader in everything and then be like, hey, man, I did this, that, and that. But I guess to figure out one specific thing, anything at all, That's very. I guess like after going so smoothly, there had to be a question I was stumped on. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense if there was like none. But I guess it will be like, just to go back to the idea we had, like it would be to have like, you know, our adult color plan come into fruition, and all three of us what did we call ourselves on the thing?
I don't remember.
But the three of us, me, you, Josh.
Okay, so quickly explain what adult cola is, because this is an idea that I have not told I've told people about, but not many people.
I mean, adult cola is like trying to replicate the cola experience, but with adults. Like, you know, trying to have like leadership conferences, like you know, the same thing, but getting adults in like specific, you know, areas of life to come into this leadership conference and learn what it is to be a leader, and also form connections. That was really what like the adult cola plan was.
Another one of the big things we're going to do is have more students lead the program.
Lead the program. Yes.
So that there's less of a gap between students and adults.
Yes.
Like,
that's
so
the
that
big thing.
Adults, I don't even know how we phrased it. It was more like adults respect the students.
Yes. And then vice versa.
Yeah.
You know, we're trying to
we
like
respect them too.
change,
and honestly,
like,
just try to understand more. Of
change
each
that
other,
dynamic. I
because
think
it's a weird, you know, because adults are like, oh, we can't learn anything from them because they're so young. But then students are like, well, we don't want to do the same thing that they did, because here's what happened
when they did that.
But so
it's
like both of us need to learn
gap.
from each other,
Exactly.
and trying to bridge that gap there.
Yeah, that's what Josh has said, like bridging the gap between. Yeah.
Words, man.
Yeah, man. The wordsmith, man. But yeah, that's what adult cola was, and that's something I really, I mean, it's something that I know we've talked about, that we're gonna still continue to try to at least push for, you know, try to figure out how to get that started even. Yeah. But it's something I guess I you know, if anything I want to lead, that would be it, because I mean, again, it's our pet project, something we've sat down over. Like, we
spent hours and hours working
so,
on this.
You know, once it works, I just want all of us to be a part of it and see how that turns out, because it's not just a great idea. It's something that we need and that the world needs. It's to see students, not just like, you know, students leading other students, but also like younger people taking leadership in like things that, you know, traditionally they're not considered for, right? And so I think that would be something that I'm looking forward to, because I know it will happen.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that happening too.
And so
one day.
definitely one day, man.
So what is something you wish you were asked about more often? So it could be anything. So it could be, I don't know. For me, it could be like the podcast for the nonprofit, or like leaders of today, like my business, or an accomplishment. It could be anything. So like, what is something that you wish you were asked about more often?
Just like in general?
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be something like that. Just
I mean, I think the biggest thing is like usually like who I am, more so than like what do I do, or like what am I trying to do. I think like, you know, just in general, like I know like a lot of people like know me from like maybe having spoke to someone, or like just knowing me because we've been friends. But I think like one of the things that is really sometimes important is like, I feel like usually, like, I mean, I think that's a question that a lot of people need to be asked. It's like, you know, like not like who are you, but like, you know, just trying to understand like who the person is outside of what they do, right? Yeah. And like what they've accomplished and all that stuff. Like as a human being, who are you? What do you like? What do you feel like in this moment? All those questions, those very, very, very distinct, specific questions about who you are is really, really, really important to me, because I ask about it, and I ask because it helps really, especially sometimes, because it's really just that question you ask where somebody who's feeling down is like, oh, you know, I want to talk to you about who I am, and you know, sometimes it goes into those realms of they're explaining like what they want to do, but like it's a comprehensive question that like brings everything in,
because who we are isn't what we do.
Exactly, right? And so, you know, usually I feel like, I mean, I get a lot of questions about like, oh, I saw you did this, this and that. But usually it's also nice to, ask that question, like, who are you? Like, where do you even come from? Like, what's your family? Like, that stuff that is personal more. I mean, obviously, I'm not trying to sit up and just be like, hey, blah, blah, blah. Just talk about straight, just everything about my personal life. I don't like sharing that a lot with a lot of people. But just having that be, like, one of the many questions that are usually asked about everything, that is
one of the things that my parents, so at my school, they asked the question, what do you want a college counselor to know about your student? So it'd be like for me. And so that one of the things that they said was that I am more than what you can see on a piece of paper.
Yes.
So like sit down and have a conversation and ask about it.
Exactly.
And so I think that's really good.
Yeah.
So because it's the Leaders of Today podcast, how are you a leader of today, especially as a college graduate?
Man, it's strange, but I guess like the simple answer is, like, I'm going back to those places that had an impact on me. I'm going back to those places to lead and try to, inspire some change or just be a presence over there, right? And so I'm going back to doing those things. And then, like, after the summertime, I'm like, all the jobs I'm applying for is also like things where I know I'll be able to impact people, like, specifically, right? So, in whatever shape or form, like I know I applied for this coaching job, like, to coach soccer a little bit because I just still enjoy the sport. And I know, like, in that, like, if I do get that job, I have to do an interview. But I keep rescheduling the interview because there's so much going on. Yeah. Even though, like, I want to rest, but I also want to do stuff. But, just totally figuring out, just, being an impact in whatever way I can. Like, even if it's just saying hi every single day to someone and they're like, oh, man, this person really cares about me. They're saying hi every day. Like,
I remember during COVID, I took a walk every day. And one of the things that I would do is I would make sure I said hi to everyone that I passed, or at least smiled at them.
Yeah. It's really important, and I guess
just like what your impact statement was, spreading hope, or be the hope. Be the hope.
Yeah, and so just trying to still be that, like, beacon for people, and even for especially my little brother, because I see sometimes how hard it is for him, because he was in high school when the pandemic, right? Yeah. And like that's
the year that I graduated too.
That's even harder, right? During the pandemic, being in high school, man, especially, like, at least in college, like, you've done the high school thing, you know how to navigate yourself because you've been doing school by yourself if you're in college. But, like, in high school, you're being told, go to this class, go to that class, and then all of a sudden, you're just at home doing this on your own, right? And so try to, like, every day, try to, model myself in a way where when he looks at me, he's like, oh, if I do this thing my brother is doing, if I, at least do some of what it looks like he wants to do, then maybe then, like, things will look a little bit different. But just trying to be in spaces where I'm not just there, but I'm a presence. Sometimes it's not just to say anything at all, but just, like, for the people to know, like, hey, if you need anything, I'm back here. You can say something to me, or you can hear from me. So, I guess that's how I'm, especially now that I'm a college graduate, is trying to,
crazy.
Like, I'm not in, like, a space of, like, oh, I'm going back to school, I'm doing this. This is like you're almost an adult.
I'm an actual adult. It's crazy. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Honestly, it's been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed it. I've actually learned a lot about you in a weird way. I think that's one of the cool things about doing these podcasts. Is we talk about so many things that I already know about you, but we also, like, learn so much about each other.
Things,
you don't ever ask people certain things that you ask them when you want others to listen, or when others are listening. So, thank you so much for being here, and I'm sure that everyone will hear from you again soon.
Definitely.